time, and feet in the little living room, no air conditioning, hardwood floor, 22 sat there. They were sitting there, all 22 of them, and I looked around and I said, now, if we get caught, what will happen to me? They said, oh, you'll get deported in 24 hours and we'll go to prison for 3 years. I said, you're kidding. How many of you have been in prison for your faith? Out of 22, 18 raised their hands. I thought, no way. I looked at him and I said, you 22 people, how many people do you oversee? Because they were all of these small group leaders, underground church leaders in the Hunan province. I said, how many, if you counted up all the people under your jurisdiction, how many would it be? And they counted them up and they said, little over 20 million. I said, what? See, we forget there's 1.3 billion people in China. This is crazy. Well, I had 15 Bibles and I passed them out. Obviously 7 didn't get them. And I said, let's turn to 2 Peter chapter 1 and we're going to read it. And just then one lady handed hers to somebody next to her. And I thought, interesting. Well, we turned there anyway, and as we started reading it, I understood why she gave it away. She had memorized the whole thing. She just recited the whole chapter. When it was done, I went over to her at a break and I said, you recited the whole chapter. She says, oh yes, I've memorized many chapters. I said, where did you memorize many chapters? She said, in prison. I said, you have much time in prison. So I said, but don't they confiscate the Bible? And she said, yes. So people bring in scriptures written on pieces of paper and they bring it in. So I said, but then if they find that piece of paper on you, won't they confiscate that? She said, oh yes, that's why you memorize it as fast as you can. Because even though they can take the paper away, they can't take what's hidden in your heart. I thought, wow. Well, after 3 days, you fall in love with these people. And when it was done, I said, how can I pray for you? I'm going to go back to America. And you guys have been just so wonderful. How can I pray for you? They said, you know, Wayne, you guys can gather like this whenever you want to in America. We can't. Could you pray that one day we'll be just like you? And I looked at him and I said, I will not do that. Big incredulous eyes looked at me and they said, why? I said, because you guys rode a train for 13 hours to get here. In my country, if you've got to drive more than an hour, people don't come. You sat on a wooden floor for 3 days. In my country, if people have to sit more than 40 minutes, they leave. You sat not only here for 3 days on a hard wooden floor, but you did it without air conditioning. In my country, if it's not padded pews and air conditioning, people don't often come back. In my country, we have an average of 2 Bibles per family. We don't read any of them. You hardly have any Bibles, and you memorize them from pieces of paper. I will not pray that we become like, you become like us, but I will pray that we become just like you.
You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can
So
get
you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you? Or are
Absolutely.
they also treated like this, where
No,
they're
they're
told
allowed
that
to
they're
question.
opening up people to violence
We have a good
by
time in my
questioning?
class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot
I
just in this
know.
exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
So the sun is 4.3 million kilometers in circumference. Well, how'd you figure that out? Where's the proof? You know? So you sent a probe around the sun to see how big it was. You're assuming it's a circle. Unless you can see all sides of it. Where do we ever see that? Where do we see pictures of any of this shit, right? You didn't snap one pic, you know? People take pictures of their fucking soup. You didn't think to take one of the sun from the other side? Not one? The Earth's core is 9,392 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun's core is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. The sun's surface is 9,941 degrees Fahrenheit. So the Earth's core and the sun's surface are almost the same temperature. But who figured it out? What did you use? What tool is it? It'd be a pretty popular guy that invented that, you know? Albert Einstein, Alexander Graham Bell, Nikola Tesla, and the guy that figured out the core temperature of the Earth and the sun. What's the big fucking secret? Okay? The furthest we've been from Earth so far, Voyager 1, is 23 billion kilometers, okay? That's how far away it is. I can't get a signal in a fucking parking garage, but you're communicating 23 billion kilometers away? I mean, I get it. You have better tools, better instruments, more money. That's how you do it. It doesn't make any sense. We can't get back to the moon. It's only 384,000 kilometers away. That's fuck all. You said something 23 billion, but we can't go back to the moon? Not a single picture has been taken of the moon on its surface since, they lost the technology. Yeah, we can't do it anymore. Unfortunately, we can't, that's not fishy for anybody? Really? Just can't get there, eh? Why? Pourquoi? It makes no fucking sense. That's all you would ever watch. Exploration. That's what we are. We're fucking explorers. We want to see the depths of space. What's more interesting than that? They'd make more money showing us, but they don't. Not a single picture of anything. Just all hidden. Why would you hide that? Why would you hide that? They would make more money and they're not showing us. So why then?
Yeah, after 3 years of long shutdown, we are all very, very keen on getting the accelerator running again. Of course, this comes with a certain sense of tension, nervousness. Is everything going well, and will it all work as we expect? There are always risks when you warm up and cool down a machine from room temperature down to minus 270 degrees, because materials shrink, etc., etc. Did all this go right? And this will only know in the end if the beam goes around. So that's a very, very exciting moment. If you look to the sky in the evening, you see this 5% of what's out there, and the other 95% you don't see. And this is for us what we call the black matter. And we hope to be able to discover hints of the existence and how to look for it, also with the LHC.
תודה לנשיא המדינה ולנשיא ארצות הברית. Thank you, President Herzog and President Biden. ועכשיו, קהל נכבד, honored guests.
Mount Hermon, high above the Holy Land. At 9,230 feet, this mysterious mountain straddles the borders of Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. Sitting above the Golan Heights, Mount Hermon has been contested ground among Christian, Hebrew, and Islamic faithful for thousands of years. According to the Synoptic Gospels, Mount Hermon is the location of the transfiguration of Jesus, an event in which Jesus was transformed into a radiant, altered state and was seen to be conversing with Moses and the prophet Elijah. Mount Hermon is also the site where the 200 fallen angels descended to earth in the Book of Enoch. But why Mount Hermon? Is there a geological significance to that site?
All across the face of the earth there are particular hotspots. And it could well be that the reason the Middle East is such a hotspot, and the reason there are legends that the Middle East contains stargates, portals to other universes. One theory says that we were populated from the stars in the Middle East at the beginning of what we call our own time.
In the occult science of numerology, the number 33 represents the ultimate attainment of consciousness. Mount Hermon is located at the 33rd parallel north, which is a latitude 33 degrees north of the Earth's equator. Tracing the 33rd parallel to the exact opposite side of the globe directly points to the site of the most famous alleged UFO encounter in modern history, in Roswell, New Mexico.
If you take the geographic polar opposite from Mount Hermon, you wind up in Roswell, New Mexico. Now that's not an accident, folks. It's not an accident. Fallen angels are very big on where they show up, what they do, how they do it. That should send shivers up and down your spine.
But could the global coordinates of the Roswell crash site and those of Mount Hermon have a special, perhaps secret, significance?
If aliens use the 33rd latitudinal line as a waypoint, as a landing point for planet Earth, what biblical people saw thousands and thousands of years ago on Mount Hermon were entities that came down from the sky. They call them angels.
Could the angels that descended on Mount Hermon thousands of years ago, and the aliens who were reportedly seen over Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, belong to the same extraterrestrial race? And if so, does this mean that angels or aliens have been among us all along? Were they left behind to monitor us? Or perhaps even guide us into the future?